The night was quiet except for the sound of soft rain kissing the empty street. A single streetlight flickered at the corner, throwing warm light over a girl who stood alone beneath it, her dark skin glowing softly against the wet pavement, her white dress clinging gently from the drizzle. In her hands, she held a small box wrapped with a red ribbon, its edges smudged from the rain. Her lips trembled with a smile she'd been practicing all day, a smile of love, of patience, of belief. She checked her phone again. The screen glowed 8:17 p.m. He had said, "Meet me at 8. I have a surprise for you." She looked down the empty road, whispering, "He'll come. He always comes." The faint hum of traffic in the distance faded beneath the sound of her heartbeat. She had replayed his words all afternoon, "I love you, no matter what anyone says." Those words had become her shield, her dream, her reason to stand there in the rain. Her phone finally buzzed. Her eyes lit up. "Hey," she said quickly, voice light with excitement. His tone was casual, distracted. "Yeah, I'm here. Don't come inside yet, okay? My friends are around. I'll come out in a bit." For a moment her smile froze. "Oh, okay," she said softly. The call ended. She lowered the phone slowly, staring at the cafe across the street. Behind the glass, warm lights shimmered, laughter spilled into the night. Silhouettes moved freely in joy. For a second she almost stepped forward, then stopped, remembering his words. Maybe he didn't want to surprise her yet. Maybe he was nervous. Love, she told herself, always has reasons. The rain thickened, tapping her shoulders like tiny questions. She brushed a drop from her cheek, unsure if it was water or the start of a tear. She looked at the box in her hands. Inside was a small silver bracelet engraved with his initials. She'd saved for weeks to buy it. She imagined his reaction, his smile, how he'd hug her and whisper, "You didn't have to." That image warmed her heart, and she smiled again. But the minutes kept slipping by. 8:30, 8:40, 8:50. The laughter inside the cafe grew louder. She took a deep breath, glancing at her reflection in the nearby shop window. Her makeup was running slightly, her hair damp, but she still looked beautiful, not because of how she appeared, but because of how she loved. "It's okay," she whispered. "He'll come when they leave." Her phone buzzed. It was him. "Where are you? Can we talk?" She stared at the screen for a long moment, her thumb hovering over the answer button. Then she smiled softly, pressed delete, and slipped the phone back into her pocket. She whispered, "You had your chance when I was waiting in the rain." She reached a bridge overlooking the city, lights shimmering across the water, cars moving like tiny veins of gold. She leaned against the railing, took a deep breath, and for the first time in a long while, she exhaled peace. "Maybe," she whispered, "this is what love should have been: quiet, kind, and brave." The camera moves around her slowly, the night wrapping her in a soft halo. The narrator continues, his voice steady and warm now. She walked away from the man who couldn't love her in daylight. And in doing so, she found the woman who could love herself in every shade of darkness. She pulls out her phone again, not to check messages, but to open her front camera. The reflection stares back, eyes tired, yet shining. She takes a photo. No filters, no smiles, just truth. She saves it, looks at it once, and whispers, "This is me. And I'm enough." Then she laughs, not the kind that hides pain, but the kind that feels like release. The music swells, soft piano blending with faint rain. The world behind her fades into a blur, while she walks toward the camera now, slow, graceful, free. Each step a statement, each breath a beginning. The narrator's final words close the scene like a heartbeat. She was never too dark to be loved, they were just too blind to see her light. And tonight, under the same rain that once witnessed her tears, she walked home, not broken, but reborn. The camera pans upward, showing her disappearing into the glowing horizon, rain falling like silver threads, city lights shimmering like hope. The screen fades to black. The rain had slowed to a soft drizzle, almost gentle now, as if the sky itself had cried enough for her. She walked aimlessly down the street, her heels clicking against the wet pavement, the city lights reflecting in every puddle she passed. Her hair clung to her face, her mascara washed away, her hands trembling, but her eyes, though swollen from tears, were beginning to clear. The wind brushed softly against her cheeks, whispering through the silence. Each step she took away from that cafe felt heavy but necessary, like walking barefoot on broken glass, painful but healing with every stride. Behind her, the laughter she had once loved was now just an echo, fading into nothing. The world around her glowed with neon lights, cars passing, strangers hurrying home, but she moved slowly, as if she was learning how to exist again. She stopped by a puddle and stared down at her reflection. Her dress was stained, her lipstick gone, her gift box crushed in her hands. For a long moment, she just stared at herself, at the woman looking back, and for the first time, she didn't see not enough. She saw someone who gave love fully, honestly, without shame. Someone who stayed when it was raining. Someone who believed. "I'm not weak," she whispered to her reflection. "I just loved too deeply." She sat on a bench nearby, the same bench where he once kissed her forehead. Her mind replayed every moment, the way he'd smile when no one was around, the way he'd avoid holding her hand in public, the way he'd say, "They wouldn't understand us." Every memory was a needle, but she didn't flinch this time. She let them hurt because she finally knew the pain wasn't her fault. It was the price she paid for loving someone who never learned how to love beyond skin. The bracelet she had given him, the one he never accepted, lay broken inside the box. She took it out, held it for a moment, then dropped it into the puddle. The sound was small, but to her, it felt like thunder. A quiet goodbye. The narrator's voice breaks in softly, tender, reflective. She thought her color made her unworthy. She stood again, wiping the last tears from her face, her lips curving into a small, tired smile. A cab passed by. She waved it away. She didn't want to be taken anywhere. She wanted to walk, to feel, to breathe. The rain returned, not as a storm, but like a friend. Each drop that fell on her skin felt like forgiveness, from the world, from herself. The camera would follow her in slow motion, her figure illuminated by passing headlights, her steps growing stronger with every second. But that night, she realized it was her light that blinded them. Her heart shattered silently. She took a step back, the noise around her fading into a distant blur. "Not what they think," she repeated, voice barely audible. "Then what am I to you?" He didn't answer. His silence was louder than the laughter. Tears filled her eyes, blurring the lights around her into melting colors. She clutched the box tighter, as if holding it could hold her heart together. "You said you loved me," she whispered, almost pleading. "You said my color didn't matter." He winced, glancing around nervously. "Can we not do this here?" he muttered under his breath. But she couldn't stop now, not after all those nights. She believed his words. "Not here," she said bitterly, a sad smile forming through her tears. "Where then? In the dark? Where no one can see?" The laughter around them faded. People were watching now. For a moment, the world stood still, her pain painted in the soft cafe light, his guilt flickering in his eyes. He tried to reach for her hand, but she stepped back. "Don't," she said softly. "You don't get to touch me when you're ashamed of me." Her voice trembled, but her eyes were steady, shining with heartbreak and strength all at once. The music played faintly again, as if mocking the silence between them. She placed the gift box on the table beside him. The ribbon had loosened. A small silver bracelet slipped out, glinting under the cafe lights. "I bought this for you," she whispered, voice breaking, "but I guess it never belonged to someone who hides love like a secret." She turned slowly, every step heavier than the last. Behind her, whispers started again, laughter too, but she didn't look back. The camera would follow her from behind, her figure moving through the bright crowd like a shadow fading out of a world that never deserved her light. As she reached the door, the narrator's voice entered, calm, wounded, honest. He said he loved her when the lights were off. But when the world could see her, his love disappeared. Outside, the rain greeted her again, cold, cleansing, real. She stepped into it without covering her head. The streetlight flickered once more, the same place where she had waited hours ago. She stood there for a moment, eyes closed, letting the rain wash away every word he had ever said. Then she looked up, whispered softly, "Love shouldn't hide. And I won't, ever again." Her tears mixed with the rain, her pain turning into quiet strength. The camera zooms out, she walks away slowly, heels clicking against the wet road, the city lights behind her blurring into gold and red. The narrator fades in one last time. She came to give him love, and left with her dignity. Because sometimes losing someone who's ashamed of you isn't a loss at all, it's freedom. The piano swells, soft rain continues, and the screen fades to black. End of scene 2. The cafe glowed like another world, warm, loud, full of laughter, the kind of place that made loneliness echo even louder outside its doors. After standing in the rain too long, she finally took a slow, shaky breath and stepped toward it. Her shoes squelched softly against the wet ground. Her heart, heavy yet hopeful, beat faster with every step. As she reached the door, her reflection caught in the glass, a soaked girl clutching a box, mascara streaked down her cheeks, eyes red but brave. She smiled faintly at herself and whispered, "Just 5 minutes. I just want to see him smile." With trembling fingers, she pushed the door open. Warm air and laughter hit her like a wave. Music played faintly in the background, and for a moment, she hesitated, unsure if she belonged in this brightness. Inside, people turned to look at her. Conversation slowed, eyes lingered longer than kindness should allow. She walked through the crowd, scanning faces until she found him, standing with his friends near the bar, drink in hand, his laughter loud and carefree. For a second, her heart fluttered. She thought he'd smile, wave, run to her. Instead, he froze. His eyes widened, then narrowed, not with love, but with panic. He set down his glass quickly and whispered something to his friends. They turned too, their smirks slicing through her confidence like razors. One of them chuckled, leaning toward him. "Bro, that's her? You serious?" The laughter spread like poison, low and cruel, but loud enough for her to hear. The sound made her throat tighten. She stood still, gift box clutched against her chest, her lips trembling as she whispered, "You told me to wait. I just wanted to see you." He looked around, uneasy. "Why did you come inside?" he muttered through clenched teeth, forcing a strained smile for his friends. "I told you to wait outside." She blinked, confused. "I've been waiting for an hour," she said softly, her voice breaking. "It's raining." "I just wanted to," before she could finish, his friend interrupted, laughing. "She's cute, bro. You said she was just a friend. Didn't know you were into that." The word hung heavy, venomous, the kind that burns without needing to be finished. The group laughed again, cruel and careless. Her face flushed with shame. She looked at him, the one who had promised her forever, expecting him to say something, anything. But he didn't defend her. He didn't even look at her. Instead, he forced a laugh, pretending the whole thing was a misunderstanding. "Chill, guys," he said quickly, eyes darting away. "It's not what you think." The camera would linger on her face, rain, tears, hope, everything blending together. Her hand slowly opens the gift box. The bracelet glimmers in the light untouched. She looks at it one last time, presses it to her heart, and whispers, "I just wanted to say thank you for loving me, even if it was only in the dark." Then she closes the box gently, lifts her face toward the rain, and lets her tears fall freely for the first time. The narrator's voice fades in, quiet and broken. She waited in the rain, not for him to arrive, but for her hope to stop hurting. Because sometimes the cruelest goodbyes are the ones that never get spoken. The screen slowly fades to black as the sound of rain softens into piano music, a mix of pain and peace, leaving only her silhouette beneath the trembling streetlight, a picture of love, loss, and dignity. As she waited, memories filled the silence, the first time they met in the library when he dropped his books and she helped him pick them up. The day he told her, "People won't understand us, but I don't care." She remembered how his fingers brushed hers, how she believed him completely. Those moments lived inside her like sunlight. She smiled through the rain, whispering his words to herself as if repeating a prayer. But then, through the glass window of the cafe, she caught a glimpse of him. He was there, surrounded by friends, laughing, phone in one hand, drink in the other. For a heartbeat she froze, her body numb. He wasn't looking at her. He wasn't coming. She took a hesitant step closer, peering inside, her heart pounding. One of his friends nudged him, pointing outside. The group burst into quiet laughter. She couldn't hear them, but she could read their faces. The boy she loved looked down, embarrassed, muttered something, and turned away. That tiny gesture sliced through her like cold wind. She stepped back, her hands shaking, the box trembling. Maybe I misunderstood, she whispered. But deep inside, the truth had already started breaking her. The rain poured harder, dripping from her eyelashes. She looked at the cafe again. The world inside looked bright and warm, but she felt invisible, like her love existed only in the dark. She remembered the nights he told her not to post their pictures, the times he'd said, "People won't get it. Baby, it's just better this way." She had thought it was love protecting love. Now she saw it was shame hiding her. A car sped past, splashing muddy water across her legs. She didn't move. She simply stood there, gripping the small box tighter until her fingers turned white. Her breath came in quiet sobs she refused to let escape. Around her, life kept moving. A couple walked by laughing. A child tugged at his mother's hand. A taxi honked in the distance. But for her, time had stopped beneath that flickering light. She closed her eyes, trying to swallow the ache. "He said he loved me," she whispered, voice trembling, but only when no one could see. She looked up toward the sky, gray clouds swallowing the stars, and smiled weakly through tears. "Maybe I should leave," she said, but her feet refused. Love, even when broken, sometimes doesn't let you walk away. The streetlight buzzed and flickered again, painting her face in gold and shadow. For the first time, she realized how cold she was, how long she'd been standing there, and how empty the night had become. Yet still, a part of her kept hoping. Maybe he would step out any second. Maybe he'd see her waiting. Maybe he'd run to her like before. She whispered again, softer this time. "Maybe he's just shy."